She was abandoned for freedom, but life turned her into the woman her mother now begs to face. This is her story. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Some choices echo for a lifetime, even when the person who made them walks away without looking back. That truth followed Lima from the day she learned that her mother, Sarah, had not been forced to leave her. She had chosen to. Lima grew up hearing whispered stories about a young woman who ran toward freedom, leaving behind a crying baby and a grandmother who tried her best to fill the empty space. Now, at 28, Lima stood in the wide corridor of her company's headquarters, her heels tapping softly on the marble floor as she spoke to her assistant. "Make sure the contracts are ready for signing," she said calmly. Her voice carried a quiet strength, the kind that only comes from surviving storms alone. Her assistant nodded quickly. "Yes, ma'am." Lima adjusted her blazer and took a deep breath. She had built her business from the ground up, late nights, empty pockets, and silent tears. But she made it. And she made it without the mother who promised the world she didn't want the burden of raising a child. Yet fate has a strange way of bending stories. As Lima walked toward the boardroom, her phone vibrated. The caller ID froze her footsteps.
Sarah.
Her mother. The same woman who had vanished. The same woman whose absence had shaped Lima more than her presence ever could. Lima stared at the screen, her heart beating hard against her ribs. "Why now?" she whispered. The phone kept ringing, loud, insistent, almost like a knock on a door destiny said she must open one day. When she finally picked up, she kept her voice steady. "Hello." On the other end, a soft breath trembled. "Lima, it's me. I need your help." Lima stood frozen in the hallway, gripping her phone so tightly that her knuckles turned pale. The voice she heard felt both familiar and foreign, like an echo from a life she had buried. "You need my help?" she repeated slowly, steadying herself. On the other end, Sarah's breath shook again, but she spoke with trembling urgency. "Lima, I know I don't have the right to ask, but things have changed. I'm in trouble. I have nowhere else to go." Lima closed her eyes for a moment, memories rushing back like an old wound reopening, her childhood birthdays with an empty chair, the nights she cried into her pillow wondering why she wasn't worth staying for, the humiliation of watching other children cling to their mothers while she pretended she didn't care. When she opened her eyes, she kept her voice cold. "You left me because you wanted freedom. What do you want now?" She heard a quiet sob on the line. "Please, Lima, just let me explain. I'll come anywhere you say." Lima hesitated, torn between the woman she had become and the little girl still waiting for an apology. After a moment, she whispered, "Meet me at the old house this evening." Then she ended the call, her heart pounding like a drum she could not silence. The old house stood at the edge of the town, still carrying the scent of burnt firewood and old laughter that didn't belong to her. Lima arrived early and walked around the compound slowly, her step steady, but her chest tight. She remembered sitting on that same wooden stool as a child, asking her grandmother why her mother never visited. Her grandmother would sigh softly and say, "Some people run from what they don't understand, child." Now, years later, Lima was the one waiting, except she was not the abandoned child anymore. She was the woman who had built her own world. When Sarah finally walked timidly into the yard, her head lowered, Lima stared without blinking. Sarah looked older, thinner, and shaken. She clutched a worn-out bag to her chest. "Lima," she whispered. Lima crossed her arms. "Talk." Sarah swallowed hard. "I made mistakes. Many. I thought leaving would give me freedom, but it only gave me emptiness. I thought life would be easier without responsibilities, without you, but every road I walked punished me. And now I've lost everything, my job, my home. I'm running from people who want money I don't have." Lima tilted her head. "And what made you think I'd save you?" Sarah's voice broke. "Because you're the only person I have left." The words hit Lima like lightning, not because they were touching, but because of their painful irony. "The only person you have left," she repeated with a bitter laugh. "You had me once. You walked away." Sarah nodded slowly. I know. And I regret it every single day. Lima studied her closely, searching for even the smallest sign of a lie. Sarah's eyes were red, her voice tired, her shoulders slumped like a woman carrying the weight of a lifetime. Lima, I don't expect forgiveness, Sarah continued quietly. But please, just shelter me for a few days. I don't want to die out there. Lima's jaw tightened. Do you know what it felt like growing up without you? Do you know how many nights I wondered what was wrong with me? Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks. There was never anything wrong with you. It was me. I was young, selfish, stupid. I chased a life that didn't want me. And when I finally grew up enough to look back, it was too late. Lima saw her mother trembling, truly broken, and something inside her shifted. Not forgiveness, but clarity. I'll listen, she said softly. But listening is not healing. And shelter is not acceptance. Sarah nodded. I understand. They moved into the sitting room, where dust still rested on old picture frames. Lima sat opposite her, arms folded, eyes steady. Tell me everything, she said. And Sarah did. She spoke of running away with a man who promised the world but delivered chaos. She spoke of heartbreak, poverty, fear, and the shame that kept her from returning. She spoke of loneliness, so deep it felt like drowning in silence. And as the story unfolded, Lima felt a strange mixture of anger and pity. So you abandoned me because you were scared? She asked. Sarah nodded. I was scared of responsibility, scared of failing, and then scared of facing the damage I caused. Lima looked away for a moment, trying to swallow the lump in her throat. I didn't need a perfect mother, she whispered. I just needed a present one. Sarah cried harder. I know, my child. And I failed you in the worst way. Lima took a slow breath. So, why are the people after you? Sarah hesitated. Because of debts. I trusted the wrong people again. I'm tired, Lima. I just need a chance to breathe. Lima didn't respond immediately. She simply stared at the woman who had given her life and almost destroyed it. For a long moment, silence filled the room. A silence heavy with years of questions and wounds that never got answers. Then Lima spoke quietly. I'll protect you for now. Not because you're my mother, but because I'm not the kind of person you were. Sarah lifted her head slowly, her eyes wide with disbelief and gratitude. Thank you, she whispered. Lima shook her head. Don't thank me. This isn't forgiveness. This is me choosing who I want to be. She stood and grabbed her phone. I'll arrange security and somewhere safe for you to stay. But after that, we take things one step at a time. Sarah nodded, wiping her tears. Lima, I don't deserve your kindness. Lima gave a small, painful smile. I know. But maybe I deserve to stop carrying the anger. As she walked toward the door, Sarah whispered shakily, Will you ever let me be part of your life again? Lima paused. She didn't turn around. I don't know, she replied honestly. But I'll let tomorrow decide, not the past. Later that night, back in her penthouse, Lima stood by the window watching the city lights flicker like scattered fireflies. She felt heavy but lighter at the same time. Her phone buzzed with messages from her team, but she ignored them. For the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about contracts or deadlines. She was thinking about the woman who left her behind, the woman she had faced today without breaking. I'm stronger now, she whispered to herself. Stronger than the pain. When her friend and business partner, Jero, called, she answered with a tired sigh. You sound exhausted, Jero said. Long day. Lima stared out the window. My mother came back. There was a long pause. Wow. Jero finally breathed. Are you okay? Lima nodded slowly. I think I'm learning to be. Jero chuckled softly. Only you can handle something like that with grace. Lima smiled faintly. Grace is easier than hate. Hate burns too much energy. They talked for a few minutes before ending the call, and when Lima finally sat on her sofa, she let herself exhale deeply, releasing years of storms she had held inside. The next morning, Lima visited the safe house. she had arranged. Sarah sat quietly on the veranda, hands folded in her lap like a child waiting for approval. When she saw Lima, her eyes brightened with cautious hope. "You came," she whispered. Lima nodded. "I said I would." Sarah stood, but didn't move closer. "I want to earn your forgiveness," she said softly. "Not rush it. Not push it. Just earn it." Lima studied her carefully. For the first time, she saw not the woman who abandoned her, but a tired soul who had fallen too many times. "Forgiveness isn't a door you walk through," Lima replied. "It's a road. A long one. And if you want to walk it, then walk." Sarah nodded quickly. "I will. I promise." Lima turned to leave, but she paused at the gate. Without looking back, she said, "Don't try to be the mother you weren't. Try to be the woman you should have been." Sarah covered her mouth as tears fell. "I will, Lima. I will." Lima walked away quietly, her step steady, her heart finally learning to breathe. She wasn't the abandoned girl anymore. She was the woman fate had raised in fire, strong, calm, and finally in control of her own story. And please don't forget to tap the bell, so every new folktale reaches you first. Tell us in the comments what you think about the story. And tell us where you're watching from. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this beautiful story with friends, family, and loved ones so they too can remember.